The following segment is sponsored by Food City.
Welcome into another week of the College Football Catch-Up Podcast. Lots of big news this week. So we have Heather joining us for the first part of the show where we talk about a little coaching change at ETSU.
Surprise. It's not even April Fool's. Here we are.
It certainly shook up my Sunday.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
What a week.
yeah, completely unexpected, right? I mean, Trey Lamb had only been here a year. And you guys probably had too, heard a little bit of rumblings about him talking to people, but talking and doing are two different things. And one's kind of the big jobs, App and Charlotte and stuff shook down. It seemed like he probably was going to be here. Tulsa was not on my radar.
No, I don't think it was on anyone's. I think like you named Charlotte, App State, I think Kennesaw State also at one point was like in the mix there for Trey. And then it was like, okay, he signed the contract extension. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Well, that's what threw me off was he just signed the contract extension. I thought that was ETSU's way of, nobody touch him.
That was ETSU's way of trying to say no one's touch him because they absolutely upped the buyout in that as well. But, you guys are both still pretty young. Two things that are almost a sign that a coach is leading is a contract extension and vote of confidence. Those are like the kiss of death for coaches. Mm-hmm. So here we are. It's been a fun week.
Yeah, thought I read the notification wrong when it came across my phone Sunday night. So that was interesting. I think we all felt a little comfortable. I can't even imagine what administration was going through in those 24 hours. But from our perspective, we got a little bit
of insight.
Yeah, we get it a little bit. But from our perspective, I thought we felt comfortable that we'd be not having to go through another coaching press conference again.
Well, what's really disappointing for ETSU is that they are now on their fourth coach since 2021. Right. When Randy Sanders retired at the end of 21, then we went to George Quarles. That didn't work out. Went to Trey Lamb. That didn't work out. So here we are, coach number 4.
4 times the charm.
Yeah, the 4 time is the charm. It'll technically be 3rd time, right? Because Randy retired. So this is just going to be 3rd time the charm.
That's the saying. Yeah. So we're on point.
There's definitely a coach that wants to be here, right? Did you not get that from Coach Healy's press conference
Absolutely.
Today?
He wants to be here, and it sounded like he wants to be here for a little while at least.
Right.
Set some roots, let his family get established here. I think that was a big one for him.
Yeah, family is huge for him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he got emotional several times.
Yeah.
Talking about his kids, his wife, and everything they've been through, kind of bouncing around, not really having a home for several years. I think the biggest thing he said, were phrases like, there's a sense of peace he has. He feels at home. And then just how I think the funny part was he was like, where we think he might stay a while is I want to beat Randy Sanders at a lot of things. So that was another thing. So I think we're confident, at least right now, that he's ready to stick here, make this his home for a little bit of time.
For sure. And I had a chance to talk to Will's family for a little bit because I actually covered Will in high school. So I actually knew his dad pretty well, talked to him a lot when he was in high school. And they were talking about through Will's entire career since he left Chattanooga as an assistant coach, this last year when he went to Atlanta was the only time he'd ever been close to Chattanooga. He's been away from, his family for quite some time, his parents and his in-laws. So I think for him and his family, not only is this a great opportunity, not is this his home state, but I mean, he's home. His mom and dad, grandma and grandpa are 3 hours down the road because they both still live in the Chattanooga area. So I think that's super important for him as well.
Yeah. And then, we talk a little bit about on the field results. He's been a head coach in the past. He has that head coaching experience, not necessarily the records that he necessarily wanted to, but when talking to Dr. Sander, he said that Healy had made it very evident within the hiring process that he had learned from those mistakes in the past and was ready for this next opportunity.
Well, and I think some of the numbers are a little bit deceiving, right? Because he went 0-11 his first year at Austin P. That was a program that was in disarray
when he took it over.
Yeah, and within the next year, he went 8-4 and made the playoffs and was National Coach of the Year. Like that turnaround was almost instantaneous. That he
familiar.
Yeah, right. But he stayed 3 years. But then he turned that into the Charlotte opportunity, which he immediately took Charlotte to a bowl. Right. Then COVID happened. And I don't think that, Will is still, I have to get used to calling him Coach Healy because I've known him a long time. Coach Healy, although I don't think he'll mind. I don't think he's Deion Sanders. Coach Healy, he's still pretty young, right? He's 39 years old. And at the time when he was at Charlotte, he was in his mid-30s. I don't think that he was prepared for something like COVID. I don't think the Charlotte program was prepared for something like COVID. And I think that he learned a lot from that will help him the second time around.
And he described the numerous amount of coaches that he's been under in the last several years that he's gained a lot of experience from, and just those conversations behind closed doors that have helped him like kind of understand what it is to be a head coach. And I think that could help as well.
Yeah, he's been endorsed by some pretty big names. We saw that on their Twitter page, Facebook page. Saw Debo Swinney's name.
I was going to point that out to you today. I knew you saw that. I mean, it's golden for Lauren. That's all she needed to hear.
Exactly. I mean, you get Dabo Super Bowl. I mean, we're all right. Hope for the best.
For me, his relationship with Randy Sanders, and especially for ETSU fans, it should be comforting that this is the guy that Randy wants in the program. Yeah. He has confidence that he can make this what it was when he was here. That's a pretty big endorsement if you're an ETSU fan, because Randy knows what it takes.
That was the first name that came out of his mouth.
Right.
They asked him, and he said, "Give Will Healy a call." So that's pretty cool, I guess, if you're Will, Coach Healy, to get that and have your name come out of that guy's mouth first. That's got to be a good confidence booster for one. So get this thing rolling.
Yeah, he said that, like you had mentioned earlier, he's hoping to surpass Coach Sanders' success. So the goals are there. They're lofty, but the goals are there.
The bar is high, but he's a guy that knows how to get there, right? Because not just what he did as a coach, but he played on the team that played in the national championship game when he was at Richmond in the FCS national championship. So he understands what a program needs to do to get to that level.
Yep. I think that's all it takes. Just knowing what you want, having that vision. He mentioned vision, alignment. There's another word in there several times. There was 3 key words. But vision, I think, is a big one. And this is an ETSU fan base that's hungry to get back to the playoffs.
Well, I think one thing that the ETSU fans will love about him is that he is very personable. He is, if you take the best of what we all loved about the late Carl Torbush, who was very personable, very open in his practices, and also George Quarles was the same way, but more of the coaching acumen of Sanders and Trey Lamb. Healy has the ability to be that guy. He has the ability to be him, which I think fans should be really excited about, because you are going to love. I've known him for 22 years now. You are going to love how personable he is. He's really easy to talk to.
It's good. A good mix of all those things put into one. That's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah. The question is the coaching, but I think he has the ability.
It'll be interesting. It'll all be about who he retains from that transfer portal, who he brings in from the transfer portal, who we got coming in. I did see that they got some of the commits that have reassured I'm all in, ready to go. ETSU is where I want to be.
Well, and one of the things I thought was interesting, because in the past, I guess ETSU, once you've gone into the portal, you cannot come out. He's actually going to talk to these guys that have jumped in the portal and try to convince some of them to stay. Right. So I know that a lot of the fans on social media were concerned about these guys that are in the portal and not having the opportunity to come back, because once you jumped, you were in. He's not closed that door. He's going to allow them, if they want to be a part of it and they buy in, to jump back in and be a part of ETSU.
The thing is I think it's one thing if you jump in the portal when you have this coach, he's going to be back the next year, what you're going to get out of a program. It's one thing. It's a completely different thing when your coach leaves and there's so much chaos, so many questions. Why not put some feelers out there and see what else is out there? Because you don't know what's coming in. So I think it'll definitely be telling to see what we get out of those players that entered the portal, if they see the vision that he has for ETSU and feel as though that's where they want to stay.
And in your one-on-one talk with him, he said that he would, even for the guys that may not want to come back, just to talk to them, give them advice if they need it when they're moving forward. So I think that goes back to your whole personal kind of deal. He doesn't know some of these guys, but he's going to talk to them and be like, if you need help, I'm here, and you got a place to come back home if you want. So I think that's really good.
Should be fun.
Interesting. A new era again.
Please. I was talking to his family. They're like, well, we're hoping to be here a while. Well, let me just tell you as a reporter standpoint, I'm hoping you're here a while too, because I'm flat burnt out on coaching searches for a while. Between basketball
Dr.
and
Sander
football,
is too.
yeah,
I think Dr.
volleyball,
Sander's ready for a
softball,
break.
soccer, like we're good. We're good.
We were talking about the other day how many we've had in just even the last calendar year.
Yeah, and there was, before the both of you got here, there was
Yeah.
a huge turnover at staff, like
Mhm.
almost every coach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're good. Stay a while, Coach Healy, please.
Stay a little bit.
All right. Well, that's where we're going to end the ETSU part of this podcast. I feel like that stay a while,
Thank you, Heather.
really wraps it all up. So we're going to shift into Tennessee. We kind of talked about it a little bit last week, talking about where we thought Tennessee would fall in the rankings, where we thought they could move up. Clearly, a lot of those games did not go the Vols' way. They had one bout of luck, couldn't quite get a second bout of luck. Tennessee, given the 9 seed, they're going to head up to Ohio State to play in the opening round of the playoffs.
Fun. Going to the horseshoe. I think the biggest luck factor that didn't go their way was just this new format, because we gotta go back into our whole talk last week, but they'd have a home game if we aren't giving buys to the
Boise
Mountain West
State
and the Pac-12
Arizona
winners.
State.
In that case, Tennessee we'd be going back to Neyland again, but we're gonna just put that away and stop complaining about it. This is a
Are we?
good opportunity. Yes, we're done. Going to Ohio State. I mean, I wouldn't say it'd shock the world, but going in there and winning that would be huge for this program, huge for this fan base, and I think it's definitely doable.
Oh, I definitely don't think it's shocking anybody if
No.
Tennessee goes in and wins this. I think Tennessee is one of the teams that could go on a run. I mean, if we look past that first round, it's a tough run they'd have to make. But no, I mean, these two teams, they've only played once before. Last time they played, who was under center? Good
Mr.
old
Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Mr. Manning.
And Tennessee won. They're 1-0. Just gonna say, Tennessee's never been beaten by Ohio State. Does
Good
track back
nugget
to
to put out
96
there.
though, before I was even born. So it's been a while.
Same.
But now, Tennessee, it's tough because there's such a long break in between. We don't really know what to expect. I'll be back up in Knoxville on Monday talking to Heupel, getting ready for game week, like a normal game week, seeing what we can expect from this matchup. And I'm sure the thing is, I think with 3 weeks off, essentially, everyone's giving it their best shot. Everyone's going to be healthier than they have been towards the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to have plenty of time to prepare.
Yeah, a lot of time.
It'll be interesting to see if that helps or hurts.
I can't see it being anything other than helping when you get that much time to prepare, especially for all these teams that are playing opponents that they don't normally play during the regular season, even on any given year. So some time to watch through the film, find out who Ohio State is, and then, like you said, get healthy. You come back full strength. Can't get any worse than that.
Yeah.
Get everyone on their fresh feet. Go run the football and win a game.
They got the best rusher in the SEC. So
Exactly. Offensive player of the year.
You got
Dylan Sampson.
You're definitely going to be leaning on that run game. Got a little ahead of myself there. It's going to be the defense kind of showed some cracks later in the season. It's going to be seeing if they can get their lives back together a little bit. I will say Andre Turrentine transferred from Ohio State to Tennessee. He said this environment's going to be nothing for the Vols. He said the SEC is not the same as the horseshoe.
Oh, you know that riled up some Ohio State fans.
Oh, for sure. Probably some players, too.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
old teammates.
I've already seen some stuff on the old X.
Someone's chatting it up,
Mhm.
calling their number.
Which I get it. Also, like,
Oh,
you don't
I
want to
for
be
sure.
giving teams bulletin board material or fans in that matter. That's going to make them go louder. But it's fun.
Here's the thing. I think Ohio State fans, obviously, they're going to try their hardest. But I think Tennessee fans are going to try to infiltrate that stadium as much as possible. They wanted that home game. They're going to travel.
They're going to make it
It's a
home
nice,
game.
5-hour drive, if that,
Yeah, it's
5 and
not
a
even
half.
that bad.
It's not a bad drive. That's doable. It's a late game. You can wake up that morning, drive up there, watch the game.
You could sleep in even. Still get there.
Time
Bring
to
some
tailgate.
orange. Yeah. Bring the orange. No, should be a good game though.
It should be.
Excited just to see how it shakes out.
Yeah.
Biggest game. I mean, considering it's the new beginning of a new era in the new playoff format. I mean, you could argue for almost any team it's biggest game in program history if you want to put it that way, because it's kind of starts something new and it's like, okay, we belong in as the top
you're
12
talking
teams
to
in the
two
nation. Oh,
national
I understand. That's
championship
funny.
teams.
It's a like
They
more for
won.
Tennessee though.
It's
It's
been
been a while.
It's been
It's
a
been
while.
a while. It's been almost 2 decades.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like we mentioned it briefly. The path doesn't get any easier after this first round. I think Tennessee probably has one of the toughest paths to the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this first round is a ugly game. It's not going to be I don't think it's going to be a runaway on either side. So you got a big game there.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think it might be the biggest competitive wise, side by side. I think it might be the most
Theoretically,
competitive
it should
game.
be with 8 and 9, so it makes sense that way, and it probably
No,
will be.
They got some higher seats. I don't necessarily believe should be higher, but we're not going to get into that. But no, and then the winner gets number 1 Oregon. Who wants that? Nobody. That's what I'm saying.
Even for Oregon.
I don't think Oregon
doesn't like this either.
I don't think Oregon really wants to see either of these two.
The only team that goes unbeaten.
The number 1 team gets kind of shafted here because there are definitely some better draws that they could have gotten.
That's why they need to
Notre Dame
this next year.
They would have rather seen Notre Dame coming out than anything else.
Yeah. Yep. No, this is why there will be a change moving forwards because,
Well, we got
Oregon's like, win it, get Tennessee or Ohio State. There's your prize for going undefeated.
No thanks. All right. Well, we'll get more into that next week for sure.
Yeah.
Heading into game week, getting able to break that down. There is one game this week still.
Mm-hmm.
Always a huge game in America. It's America's game.
Mm-hmm.
We got Navy versus 23 ranked Army.
Yeah. This is...
Go America.
This is the game, man. It's always that fun one. At the end of the year, there's no college football, usually.
Everyone's tuning in.
And, everyone's watching because everyone's preparing for their bowl game. So it's always a fun one. It's not always the most pretty football.
Oh, usually it's not at all.
A lot of scrum.
They got some pretty uniforms most of the time.
Yeah, they do.
I love watching those uniform reveals.
That and the atmosphere is just really awesome. But I don't know. This is we all know Army had a really good year.
This is actually the 19 combined wins between the two programs is the most ever entering this matchup. So both teams have had a lot of success this year that they're not necessarily used to.
Right. And when that makes it even more fun because it's like, okay, so who's really the big dog? It's not like one of those, they both have 5 or 6 wins, and it's like, oh, let's just play this out, Army and Navy. No, we got 2 teams that could, you could have a 12-win team here.
You could. That would be crazy.
That would be fantastic.
That would be crazy. And if we're talking about 12-win teams, we also have some other stats to keep an eye on. Army's quarterback, Bryson Daly, has 29 rushing touchdowns. Right now, the FBS record for quarterback rushing touchdowns is 31, set by, get this, Navy's quarterback, Keenan Reynolds, in 2013.
throw some more fire in there.
Exactly. It's like Navy's got to protect their guy.
Yeah,
They got to
yeah.
protect that guy's
Hold that record up.
Army, obviously, they're trying to get their guy to set the new FBS record.
He needs 3 of them. That's tough.
It might be tough to keep them out at this rate. They're both scoring a lot.
Yes.
Typically, I feel like we're used to low scoring.
Yeah, this
games
could
in
be a
this affair,
shootout.
but I think this one, I think this
Take
one could
the
be a
over,
lot
folks.
more. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, with it being the military school, both quarterbacks are their team's leading rushers. You're getting that kind of weird style of play from these
school
groups.
Football.
Yeah, they're not airing it out like everybody else is.
No, which makes it interesting. But this line change is interesting too.
Yeah, so we're gonna shift Lauren's locks. Quick, easy, painless. 1 game. Army opened as 2.5-point favorites. They've now jumped to 6.5-point favorites.
See, normally in a game like this, I would absolutely take the underdog and take the plus 6.5. But I don't think Navy's
been that guy this year.
And Navy did not end the regular season well, or just the season. I guess it's technically still the regular season for them.
They lost
3 of their last 5. So that's tough.
And Army's only loss is to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Navy also lost to Notre Dame, but Army's only loss is to Notre Dame, who's in the 12-team playoff.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It could be one of those deals where it's like, they did not finish strong, lost 3 of their last 5, and then they just
Navy got the week off last week.
For this game. They're
Navy got the week off last week. Army had to play. They won a championship, but they had to play.
That could be the difference here. I don't know. Fresh legs, Navy ticked off, losing 3 of their last 5. They get up for this one. Biggest game of their year.
Who are we rocking for?
You go first this time.
I'll go first.
I always go first.
I know you always go first. There's a reason for that. I feel like it adds to the dramatic effect. Like, I need to be Lee Corso.
Okay, fine.
I need the headgear pick.
All right. I'll go. Navy plus 6.5.
And we're both riding with the midshipmen. I'm from Maryland. I'm not near Annapolis, but, we've always pulled for Navy.
Right.
I've got friends that are in the Army that don't necessarily lean that way anymore, but, Navy strong.
Navy strong. That's a good color, too.
You know what? Regardless, America wins.
Yes, absolutely. Every time this game's played, America wins.
There you go. All right, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Sports Reporters Podcast, College Football Catch-Up. Obviously, we'll have a lot more coming up next week, previewing that big Tennessee-Ohio State game, so make sure to tune in next week for that.